Okay, so for the assignment, you need to calculate for the acceleration, velocity, and displacement for these two columns. And I've done the demonstration for this one. And you'll be able to access this Google Sheet on module. You'll find a link on module. And these two are force plate data collected. And the sampling rate is in 1200 Hertz. And my body weight is 72 kilograms. And I've put all the demonstration in sheet 3 here. You should be able to see all my calculations here that you saw on the previous video. So I hope that'll give you more sense about what we're doing today. And so I've calculated this one, you need to calculate this one. And for assignment, there are two data sets. One is with arm swing, the other is without arm swing. You need to calculate them both, even though I've calculated one for you. And there's 4 assignments. The first assignment, like 4 sections, just 4 sections. First section, you need 3 graphs for each jump, right? So you'll have acceleration graph, velocity graph, and displacement graph for each situation. So you have 3 for with arm swing and 3 for without arm swing. So you need to present 6 graphs for the first section. And then assignment 2, you need to calculate the peak height using takeoff velocity for one sample data set. So you can calculate for with arm swing or without arm swing. Just pick one sample set. And how did you calculate peak height? You use takeoff velocity. You can use the equation here. So we know for peak height, the final velocity at peak height would be 0, right? And the initial velocity would be your takeoff velocity that you can find on your graph after you generate it out. And then we know acceleration is negative 9.8 because after takeoff, you only have gravity acting on you. So the acceleration will be negative 9.8 after initial takeoff. Then the height will be the peak height when your final velocity is 0. So you put 0 here, takeoff velocity here, 2, and negative 9.8. You'll get your peak height here. Okay, then you can get peak height by calculation and also by your graph, right? Because you have displacement graph. You can find the highest point on displacement graph that represents the peak height and compare these two values to see if that matched well, or if it doesn't, why doesn't. Okay, that's the second section. So the purpose for second section is to let you know that we can calculate the peak height by 2 methods. One is for integration from velocity. The other is from this equation. And you should be able to see pretty similar values. Okay, and for the third section, if you remember at the beginning, we have an article talking about this two movement. And you need to cite one sentence from that article which describes the author's finding. So maybe the authors found that some variables is the cause of different peak height. And you can compare your result to the author's finding to see what's the difference between with arm swing and without arm swing. So there are several findings, just cite one from author's finding and compare the author's finding with your data, with your result. So that's a third section. And the fourth section can discuss one potential application when you have force plate data and how do we use that force plate data in sport or clinical use. And there are some reference here they can watch on YouTube. The first one is about a conference from NSCA talking about force plate data and predicting injury or rehabilitation. And the second link is about a commercial force plate and how is it being used in clinical or sport use. And the third is also a commercial force play called Sparta Science. Maybe some of you have already heard of it. They try to use force play data to give precise training program to the athletes. That's some like current use that you can find on YouTube. You can watch them and generate some of your thoughts. Again, those references are not a golden standard, or they're not the guideline. Maybe they're wrong because some of them are commercial product, like you can always criticize them. So generate some of your thoughts from your own mind, and to see how we can utilize the force play data in sport or clinical use. So there are 4 sections. Again, the first section, 6 graphs from 2 situations. Second, calculate the peak height based on this equation and compare with your graph. Third, cite one finding from the article and compare the author's finding to your result. And fourth, discuss one potential application of the force play data in sport or clinical use. Okay, so that's all for our lab this week. Hope you guys enjoy it, and don't hesitate to send me an email if you have some difficulty using Excel, or yeah, we can try to figure out a way to do that for you. Okay, stay safe. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.